In this world, the air itself is so cold it seems to fracture with every breath, as if the very molecules are locked in a struggle to remain whole. The wind, ever present and merciless, sculpts the land with invisible blades, etching patterns into the snow and ice that will remain for days, sometimes weeks, untouched by any living thing. In the heart of the Siberian Arctic, the world is claimed by an impossible cold, -71 degrees Celsius. Here the air bites with a ferocity that can freeze exposed skin in seconds. The cold is not just a temperature, but a living force shaping every surface, every breath of wind, every drifting flake of snow. Snow devils twist and dance across the plains, their swirling forms the only movement in a landscape otherwise frozen in perfect stillness. This is not merely winter, it is a return to an ancient ice age, a world locked in a perpetual freeze. The landscape is a vast unbroken tableau of white and blue, where time itself seems to have stopped. Jagged ridges of ice thrust upward from the tundra, their sharp edges catching the faint sunlight and scattering it in 1,000 directions. Each snowdrift stands as a silent monument, shaped by countless storms and the relentless sculpting wind. Every surface is transformed by frost. Crystals bloom in fractal patterns, their delicate arms reaching outward in silent competition. Rivers, once flowing with life, are now solid veins of blue and white, their surfaces fractured into intricate geometric mosaics. Beneath the ice, water moves sluggishly, if at all, hidden from the world above by a thick, unyielding shell. Trees stand as ghostly sentinels, their branches encased in thick layers of ice, bending under the immense weight. Icicles hang, like crystal daggers, catching the pale light and refracting it into fleeting rainbows. The forest is silent, every sound muffled by the heavy snow, every movement slowed by the biting cold. Wildlife is rare, but those who endure are masters of survival. The Arctic fox curls deep within its burrow, its fur rimed with frost conserving every scrap of warmth. The snowy owl perches motionless, feathers fluffed against the chill, its eyes sharp and unblinking as it waits for the faintest sign of movement beneath the snow. Reindeer cluster together, their bodies pressed close, sharing warmth in the open expanse. Their breath steams in the frigid air, rising in ghostly clouds before vanishing. Beneath the snow, small mammals tunnel through hidden passageways, their lives a constant negotiation with the ever-present threat of freezing, their tracks the only evidence of their existence. The polar bear, ruler of this frozen kingdom, moves with silent purpose across the tundra, its massive paws spreading its weight to avoid breaking through the crust of snow. Each breath is visible, a cloud of vapor in the icy air. The Arctic hare, swift and wary, bounds from shadow to shadow, its white fur blending perfectly with the snow, always alert for the slightest hint of danger. The musk ox's dense coat is its armor, each strand of fur trapping precious heat, while ice clings stubbornly to its surface. The ptarmigan, nearly invisible against the snow, trusts its perfect camouflage to survive, its feathers blending seamlessly with the endless white. The sun is a pale, distant disk, offering little warmth, just a suggestion of light. It hangs low in the sky, casting long blue shadows and painting the snow in subtle shades of gold and indigo. The contrast of sunlight on ice creates a landscape that is both stark and breathtaking, a world of sharp edges and soft, endless drifts. The wind scours the land, driving snow into every crevice, searching for any sign of warmth. Around the entrance to a den, snow swirls in restless eddies, hinting at the life hidden within. Even the lakes are locked in silence, their surfaces fractured and gleaming, concealing the slow, secret world beneath the ice. At night, the sky becomes a canvas for the Aurora borealis, ribbons of green and violet dancing above the frozen world. The stars shine with a clarity found nowhere else, their light reflecting off the snow and ice, illuminating a land where survival is the only law. Predators move with caution and grace, their senses sharpened by the demands of this harsh environment. A wolf pack glides silently through the snow, eyes alert and focused, while a lynx pauses at the edge of the forest, its form melting into the shadows, every muscle tensed for the hunt. Here, life is a delicate balance, a constant dance with death. Snowflakes land on fur, melting instantly from the fleeting warmth of a living body. On the surface of a frozen pond, intricate ice patterns form and reform, shaped by the shifting wind and the relentless cold. Every creature, every plant, every breath of wind is shaped by the omnipresent chill. This is the world at -71 degrees Celsius, beautiful, unforgiving, and utterly wild, where nature alone reigns supreme. In the farthest reaches of Siberia, where the world is locked in a deep freeze, life endures against all odds. Here, in the endless white of Oymyakon's valley, the land is sculpted by wind and ice, and every living thing is a testament to nature's ingenuity. For most of the year, the sun is a pale memory, barely cresting the horizon before sinking again into the long polar night. The air is so cold it crackles, and the snow lies heavy on the ground, muffling every sound except the whisper of the wind. In this frozen silence, the Arctic fox is a master of survival. Its fur, thick and pure white, is the warmest of any animal in the Arctic. The fox curls into a tight bald tail wrapped snugly over its nose, conserving every scrap of heat. When hunger calls, it listens for the faintest rustle beneath the snow, then pounces, breaking through the crust to snatch a hidden vole or lemming. Reindeer move in slow, determined herds, their breath steaming in the frigid air. Their hooves are wide and sharp, perfect for scraping away snow to uncover the lichen that is their lifeline. Each step is careful, each movement measured, for a misstep could mean a broken leg and certain death. Their coats are thick, layered with insulating fat, and their noses warm the air before it reaches their lungs. In the shadows of the forest, Siberian wolves prowl. They travel in tight-knit packs, their survival dependent on cooperation and keen senses. Through blizzards and darkness, they track the scent of prey, communicating with low growls and body language. When the hunt is on, every member has a role. Some drive the prey, others flank, and together they bring down animals much larger than themselves. The ptarmigan, a small and unassuming bird, is a marvel of adaptation. In winter, its feathers turn snowy white, rendering it nearly invisible against the drifts. It fluffs its plumage to trap air, creating a layer of insulation, and pecks at frozen twigs and seeds, eking out a living where little grows. Beneath the ice, life moves at a glacial pace. Fish drift slowly in the frigid water, their bodies adapted to survive with minimal energy. Their hearts beat slowly, and their blood contains special proteins to prevent freezing. Only the toughest species can endure these months of darkness and cold. Snow hares, with their thick silvery fur, are ghosts in the landscape. They dig deep burrows beneath the snow, where the temperature is less severe. Here, they huddle together, venturing out only when hunger drives them, always alert for the shadow of a wolf or the silent approach of a fox. Even the plants are warriors. Mosses and lichens cling to rocks and tree trunks, their growth measured in millimeters each year. They survive months of darkness, drawing moisture from the air and waiting patiently for the brief explosive summer when the sun finally returns. The tundra is a place of constant trial. Blizzards sweep across the open land, erasing tracks and burying food beneath new layers of snow. Every creature must fight for every calorie, every moment a test of endurance and adaptation. Tracks in the snow tell silent stories, of a fox's lonely journey across a frozen river, of reindeer antlers breaking through a storm, of a hare's desperate dash for cover. Each mark is a sign of life's persistence, a fleeting imprint before the wind erases all trace. And yet, even here, hope endures. As the faint sun rises over the icy horizon, a glimmer of light dances on the snow, promising another day. On the edge of possibility, life persists, fragile, tenacious, and extraordinary, a living miracle in a world of endless winter. In the vast frozen expanse of the Arctic, silence is never just the absence of sound. It is a living, breathing presence, a warning that ripples through the snow and ice. Here every creature knows that silence can mean danger is near. The animals sense it first. Sled dogs, usually boisterous and eager, fall quiet, their bodies pressed together for warmth and reassurance. Their noses twitch, catching scents on the wind, their eyes wide and searching the horizon. Reindeer, too, cluster tightly, their breath steaming in the frigid air, hooves shifting nervously in the snow. Across the white wilderness, tracks appear, massive, deep and unmistakable. Each print is a silent message, pressed into the snow by a predator whose power is legendary. The stride is long, the claws sharp, the path purposeful. The animals know something ancient and hungry is on the move. The tracks circle and weave, marking territory, testing boundaries. The predator is patient, studying its prey, learning their patterns. The reindeer grow restless, their instincts screaming for escape, but the snow pens them in. The sled dogs whimper, their bodies tense, every muscle ready to flee. The shadow in the snow is not just a legend, it is a living force. The polar bear, driven by hunger and the endless cold, moves with silent purpose. Its white fur blends perfectly with the landscape, making it nearly invisible until it is too late. But in this world it is the animals who feel the tension most. Every movement, every sound is amplified by the cold. The predator's presence changes everything, turning the familiar into the unknown, the safe into the dangerous. The environment itself conspires with the hunter. Thick fog rolls in, shrouding the land in mystery, muffling sound and blurring shapes. The snow, once a shield, now becomes a prison, trapping prey and predator together in a deadly dance. In the Arctic, survival is a game of patience and instinct. The shadow in the snow waits, always watching, always hunting. For the animals, every day is a test of awareness, every night a battle against the unseen. The silence, the tracks, and the cold are all part of the same story, a story of predator and prey written in the snow. The reindeer, huddled in tight circles, stamp their hooves and snort clouds of vapor into the air, their ears flicking at every distant sound. They sense the weight of unseen eyes, the subtle shift in the wind that carries the scent of danger. The youngest among them press close to their mothers, trembling, as the herd's instincts draw them together for safety. Sled dogs, their fur rimed with frost, grow silent and still. Their bodies are low to the ground, muscles coiled, eyes darting from shadow to shadow. They whine softly, a chorus of anxiety that rises and falls with the wind, their noses pressed to the snow, reading the invisible messages left by the passing of the great bear. The polar bear itself is a ghost in the landscape, its massive paws barely making a sound as it moves. It pauses often, lifting its head to taste the air, its black nose twitching, its breath a faint mist in the cold. It moves with a patience born of hunger, circling, doubling back, always searching for the weakest, the slowest, the one that strays too far from the herd. The snow muffles all but the most urgent sounds, the crack of ice beneath a hoof, the sudden rush of wings as a startled bird takes flight. The world is reduced to white and shadow, to the crunch of snow underfoot and the distant, haunting call of a raven. Every animal is alert, every sense sharpened by the knowledge that the shadow in the snow is never far away. As the Arctic night deepens, the cold grows sharper, the fog thickens, and the animals draw closer together. The reindeer's breath forms a cloud above the herd. The sled dogs curl into tight balls, their eyes never closing fully. The polar bear, relentless and silent, continues its hunt, a living shadow moving through a world of ice and fear. In this frozen wilderness, the story of predator and prey is written anew each day. The animals know the rules, and they know the cost of forgetting them. The shadow in the snow is always waiting, always watching, and in the Arctic, only the most vigilant survive. In the endless white of the Arctic night, a silent shadow moved with purpose. The polar bear, apex predator of the north, advanced through the snowdrifts, every muscle attuned to the hunt. The world was a frozen labyrinth. snow dunes rising and falling like waves, the wind sculpting the landscape into ghostly forms. Each step the bear took was calculated, its massive paws spreading its weight so it could glide over the powdery surface without a sound. Its senses were razor-sharp, nostrils flaring to catch the faintest scent of prey, ears swiveling to detect the softest rustle beneath the snow. The bear's world was a tapestry of invisible signals, the distant crackle of ice, the subtle shift of wind, the almost imperceptible vibration of a small animal tunneling below. It was a ghost among the drifts, its white fur blending seamlessly with the snow, making it nearly invisible to all but the most vigilant eyes. It paused, head low, reading the landscape for signs of life. The remains of a recent kill, scattered bones and torn flesh, spoke of its relentless hunger and the efficiency of its attack. Each meal was hard-won, every calorie precious in the frozen wasteland. The bear's breath steamed in the frigid air, nostrils twitching as it searched for the lingering scent of blood or fat, clues that might lead to its next meal. The bear's instincts guided it to the tree line, where the fog thickened and the world grew quiet. It became a living spectre, blending with the mist, its white fur a perfect camouflage against the snow-laden forest. Here, every sense was heightened. The bear could feel the subtle tremors of a hare's heartbeat beneath the snow, or the faint warmth left by a fox's passing. The tundra, once alive with the scurrying of foxes and hares, now lay silent. The smaller predators and prey had vanished, their senses warning them of the bear's approach long before it arrived. Only their tracks remained, quickly erased by the wind. The silence was profound, broken only by the distant howl of the wind and the soft crunch of snow beneath the bear's feet. The bear's path was dictated by instinct and necessity. It skirted the edges of the wilderness, always alert, always searching. Hunger sharpened its focus, driving it to explore new territories, to risk the unknown for the promise of sustenance. Every sense was a tool for survival, every moment a test of patience and resolve. The predator's approach was a masterclass in patience and calculation. It moved with deliberate slowness, conserving energy, pausing often to listen, to taste the air, to sense the vibrations of hidden life beneath the snow. Each pause was a moment of intense focus, the bear's mind and body united in the singular purpose of survival. At night, the bear's world expanded, its vision adapted to the dim Arctic twilight, picked out the faintest movement. Its nose, 1,000 times more sensitive than a human's, mapped the invisible trails of scent that crisscrossed the tundra. The darkness was not a barrier, but a cloak, allowing the bear to move unseen, a silent force in the frozen wild. The bear was not alone in its vigilance. Arctic foxes, ever wary, watched from a distance, their own survival dependent on reading the predator's intentions. Hares froze in place, trusting their stillness to keep them hidden from the bear's searching gaze. The entire landscape was a web of instincts, each animal attuned to the rhythms of danger and opportunity. Driven by starvation, the bear's boldness grew. It ventured further into the icy unknown, foraging desperately, its massive frame moving with surprising stealth as it searched for any sign of food. Every movement was a gamble, every decision a matter of life and death in the relentless cold. The bear's hunger was not malice, but the pure drive to survive. It pressed on, nose to the ground, following the faintest promise of a meal, its body a testament to the harshness of the world it ruled. The icy wind bit at its skin, but the bear endured, its will as unyielding as the frozen earth beneath its paws. In this frozen expanse, the predator's approach was both a threat and a marvel, a living embodiment of the relentless struggle for existence in the Arctic wild. Here, every instinct was sharpened by the cold, every heartbeat a testament to the ancient dance between hunter and hunted, played out beneath the endless Arctic sky. In the heart of the Arctic, where the sun barely crests the horizon and the wind slices through even the thickest fur, survival is a daily battle. Here, every animal is a master of adaptation, each movement an instinct honed by generations of struggle against the cold. The polar bear's preparation begins with its very body. Dense fur, layered with oily guard hairs and a thick undercoat, forms a barrier against the biting wind. Beneath the skin, a deep layer of blubber insulates, trapping precious body heat and shielding vital organs from the relentless chill. Black skin beneath the white fur absorbs every ray of weak sunlight, turning it into warmth. Wide fur-covered paws act as natural snowshoes, distributing weight so the bear glides over deep drifts, never breaking the fragile crust. Before the hunt, the bear's senses sharpen. Its nose, capable of detecting a seal's breath from miles away, flares in the frigid air. Ears twitch, catching the faintest crackle of ice or distant movement, while sharp eyes scan the endless white for any sign of life. In this harsh world, energy is as precious as warmth. The bear moves with deliberate slowness, each step measured, conserving every calorie. It crouches low behind a snowdrift, patient and still, blending seamlessly into the landscape, waiting for the perfect moment. Stealth is the key to survival. The bear remains motionless for hours, sometimes days, beside a breathing hole in the ice. Its breath is barely visible, its presence almost undetectable, as it waits for the faintest sign of prey. Grooming is not just habit, it's survival. The bear meticulously licks and shakes its fur, removing ice crystals that could sap warmth and threaten its life. Every movement is purposeful, every action a defense against the cold. Each step across the frozen sea is a calculated risk. The bear tests the ice with gentle pressure, avoiding cracks and thin patches, moving with a precision born of necessity. One misstep could mean disaster in this unforgiving world. For the young, every day is a lesson. Cubs watch their mother intently, mimicking her slow, deliberate movements, learning the art of patience and the secrets of the hunt through silent observation. Even the bear's heart adapts, slowing to conserve energy, every beat measured and calm. This stillness is the calm before the storm, the gathering of strength for the explosive burst that will come when prey appears. At the critical moment, every muscle tenses, every sense sharpens. The bear is a coiled spring, ready for the swift, decisive strike that could mean the difference between life and starvation. In the frozen silence, these adaptations are not just advantages, they are the line between life and death. Every sense, every instinct, every strategy is a response to the merciless Arctic. And so, as the first light of dawn glimmers on the ice, the hunt begins. Guided by instinct, shaped by adaptation, and driven by the relentless will to survive, the polar bear steps into the vast unknown, alone but perfectly prepared for the challenge ahead. In the ghostly twilight, the Arctic was a world of silent tension. The immense polar bear prowled the frozen ridge, its senses razor-sharp, every muscle tuned for survival. The bear's breath steamed in the frigid air as it paused, sniffing for the faintest trace of prey beneath the snow. Each step was deliberate, the crunch of its massive paws muffled by the thick, powdery snow. The bear's black nose twitched, drawing in the subtle scents that drifted on the icy wind. Perhaps the promise of a hidden seal, or the distant musk of another predator. With powerful paws, the bear began to dig, sending flurries of snow into the air. Its claws, thick and curved, tore through the crust, searching for the telltale breathing hole of a seal. The bear's ears flicked, alert to the faintest sound beneath the ice, a muffled splash, a whisper of movement. Every action was measured, conserving precious energy in a world where a single mistake could mean death. The bear's eyes, dark and intelligent, scanned the horizon, wary of rivals that might be drawn by the same scent. Suddenly the bear's head snapped up, ears twitching. A faint, almost imperceptible vibration travelled through the snow, a sign that another creature was near. Not a human, but perhaps a rival bear or a cunning Arctic fox hoping to scavenge a meal. The polar bear's lips curled back, revealing powerful teeth, and it rose to its full height, a living force of nature ready to defend its claim. The air crackled with tension as the bear let out a deep, resonant growl, a warning that echoed across the frozen expanse. The silence shattered as the bear let out a thunderous roar, a warning to any challenger. In the distance, a shadow moved, a younger bear, lean and hungry, drawn by the scent of opportunity. The two locked eyes, each gauging the other's strength, each aware that in this frozen arena only one could claim the prize. The older bear's fur bristled, muscles coiled, ready to charge if the intruder dared to approach. The younger bear hesitated, weighing its chances. For a moment, the two giants stood motionless, their breath steaming in the cold, their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. The older bear's dominance was clear, its size and confidence an unspoken threat. With a final defiant snort, the challenger turned away, vanishing into the swirling snow, leaving the victor alone with its hard-won territory. As the wind howled across the snow, the outcome of this primal contest would echo far beyond the ice, shaping the fate of all who called this frozen wilderness home. In the Arctic, every confrontation is a test of endurance and cunning, a harsh reminder that here only the strongest endure. The bear's roar thundered across the frozen expanse, echoing through the icy valleys and sending a ripple of fear through the animal village, a community bound not by walls or fences but by the shared struggle for survival in the relentless cold. Every creature, from the smallest vole to the towering muskox, felt the tremor of danger in their bones. Instinctively, the animals responded as one. Foxes flicked their bushy tails in urgent warning, their sharp eyes scanning the horizon. Hares vanished into their labyrinth of tunnels beneath the snow, hearts pounding as they pressed close to one another. Snowy owls, silent and swift, took to the air, their wings slicing through the blizzard as they circled above, ready to distract the intruder. Musk oxen, ancient and resolute, formed a living wall, horns lowered, bodies pressed together, shielding the youngest calves in their midst. The polar bear, powerful and hungry, slowed, confused by the unity before it. The air crackled with tension as the snowy owls swooped low, their wings brushing the bear's fur, drawing its attention away from the vulnerable. The musk oxen stood their ground, unmoving, their breath steaming in the frigid air. Even the smallest creatures played their part, lemmings tunneling deeper, voles freezing in place, invisible to the predator's gaze. At last, the bear turned away, defeated not by force, but by the strength of community. Its massive paws left deep tracks in the snow as it retreated, glancing back at the united front it could not break. Silence returned, deeper and more profound than before, settling over the snowy plain like a comforting blanket. Slowly the animals emerged from their shelters. Foxes peeked from their burrows, ears twitching as they scanned for danger. Hares hopped cautiously into the open, their noses quivering in the cold air. The musk oxen relaxed their stance, lowering their heads to nuzzle their calves. Birds settled onto the snow, feathers ruffled but spirits unbroken. Families reunited, nuzzling and calling softly, the bonds of trust and cooperation stronger than ever. The Arctic foxes gathered their kits, licking frost from their fur. Musk oxen calves rejoined the herd, pressing close to their mothers for warmth. Snowy owls preened their feathers, their keen eyes ever watchful. In the aftermath, the village shared what little food they had. Foxes and hares, usually wary of one another, ate side by side, grateful for the safety they had forged together. Birds pecked at scattered seeds, while musk oxen grazed peacefully, the tension of the hunt replaced by a sense of harmony. Each species contributed to the survival of all. No rivalry, only gratitude. The elders gathered the young beneath the shelter of a snow-laden spruce. The old fox, his muzzle silvered with age, spoke of courage and quick thinking. The wise owl, her eyes bright with memory, told of times when unity had saved them before. The matriarch muskox, broad and strong, demonstrated how to stand together, horns out against any threat. The lesson was clear. Together, even the greatest danger could be faced and overcome. Relief swept through the village, not in loud celebration, but in a quiet, shared joy. Animals exchanged glances, their eyes shining with pride and gratitude. Gentle touches and shared warmth passed between them as they huddled together against the wind, snow swirling softly around their feet. The fear had lifted, replaced by a sense of belonging and hope. As the sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the white landscape, the animal village gathered in a sheltered hollow. Foxes curled up with hares, birds nestled among the muskoxen's thick fur, and all species pressed close, sharing warmth and stories of the day's ordeal. In that moment, predator and prey, strong and small, were united by the simple miracle of survival. The ordeal had passed, and the village endured, its bonds unbreakable, its spirit unbowed. Tracks in the snow wove together, a tapestry of resilience and unity, as the Arctic landscape glowed in the soft light of a new day. In the frozen silence of the Arctic, the passing of one is felt by all. Here, the loss of a single life ripples through the snowbound world, touching every creature that shares this harsh, beautiful land. Among animal communities, honoring the fallen is not a single act, but a series of rituals, subtle, instinctive, and deeply woven into the rhythm of survival. When a polar bear cub is lost, the family lingers in the snow, nuzzling the small form with gentle touches. The mother's breath clouds in the frigid air as she hesitates to leave, her sorrow echoing in the stillness. Nearby, ravens gather in silent vigil, their black feathers stark against the white. They perch quietly, watching over the fallen, their presence a mark of respect and a promise that nothing in the Arctic is ever truly forgotten. In the distance, a wolf pack mourns a lost member. The pack circles the fallen, noses pressed to familiar fur, their howls rising into the cold wind, a haunting song of grief and remembrance. For a time they remain, refusing to abandon their companion to the silence. Muskoxen, too, honor their dead. When an elder falls, the herd forms a living shield, standing shoulder to shoulder, bracing against the wind. They guard the body, offering protection and a final moment of dignity before the journey must continue. Arctic foxes gather around a lost kit, their paws tracing gentle circles in the snow. They pause, noses low, as if saying goodbye in their own quiet way. Eventually, they slip away, leaving only delicate tracks behind. Above, a snowy owl perches in silence, bearing witness to the scene below. The owl's watchful eyes see the cycle unfold, life and loss intertwined beneath the endless sky. In time, the fallen become part of the land itself. Scavengers approach with caution, their movements respectful, as if understanding the gravity of the moment. They return what remains to the tundra, ensuring that nothing is wasted. Soon, tiny plants and lichen begin to emerge, nourished by what once was. Life, in its quiet persistence, finds a way to begin again. Here, every loss is honored in quiet ways, through memory, through ritual, through the unbroken cycle of life and death. In the Arctic, all creatures are bound together, each playing a part in the delicate balance of survival. The snow holds their stories and the land remembers as life continues, undaunted, unbroken, and forever intertwined with the memory of those who came before. As the long, frigid night of winter finally loosens its grip, the Arctic awakens beneath a gentle sunrise. The golden light spills across the snow, painting the landscape with the promise of renewal. Each day the sun lingers a little longer, its rays coaxing life from beneath the ice and snow. Across this vast frozen expanse, the animals sense the subtle shift. A polar bear mother leads her cubs across thinning ice, teaching them to navigate a world in flux. Seals emerge through narrow cracks, their instincts finely tuned to the rhythm of the melting floes. Caribou begin their ancient migration, hooves crunching over snow as the Aurora dances above. The Arctic fox, master of disguise, sheds its winter white for a coat of brown and grey, blending seamlessly with the awakening tundra. Walruses gather in tight-knit groups on shrinking ice, their bonds a shield against the cold and the unknown. Snowy owls, silent and watchful, hunt in the dim twilight, their keen eyes spotting the faintest movement beneath the snow. Each creature faces its own trials. Polar bears swim tirelessly between distant floes, searching for solid ground. Musk oxen huddle together, their thick coats and unity shielding them from biting winds. Beneath the surface, lemmings carve intricate tunnels, creating hidden worlds where warmth and safety can be found. The struggle for survival is relentless, but so is the will to adapt. A polar bear stands tall, bracing against the wind, a symbol of quiet strength. Arctic hares bound across the open tundra, their powerful legs carrying them swiftly over the snow. Seals bask on sunlit ice, soaking in the warmth that signals the return of life. Under the shimmering aurora, polar bear cubs nestle close for warmth, their bond a testament to the power of family. An Arctic fox curls into a snowy hollow, trusting in its instincts and the lessons of generations past. In every corner of this icy wilderness, hope flickers, fragile yet unyielding. As the midnight sun hovers on the horizon, polar bear cubs venture out, curiosity guiding their first steps into a world of endless possibility. Arctic birds soar above open water, their wings catching the wind, their calls echoing across the thawing land. Life, in all its forms, adapts and thrives, finding new ways to endure. In this ever-changing world, hope is not just a feeling, it is a way of life. It is found in the glowing icebergs beneath the polar twilight, in the silhouettes of wildlife against the rising sun, and in the quiet determination of every creature that calls the Arctic home. Here resilience is written into the very fabric of existence, and with each new dawn, the promise of survival endures. Across the boundless, shimmering white of the Arctic, life is in constant motion. Here, the land stretches endlessly, an ocean of ice and snow, broken only by the silhouettes of animals on the move. Each winter and spring, the great migrations begin, ancient rhythms pulsing beneath the frozen silence. Caribou gather in immense herds, their numbers so vast they seem to ripple across the tundra like a living river. Driven by hunger and instinct, they journey hundreds of miles, noses to the wind, searching for lichen buried beneath the snow and the safety of distant valleys. Their hooves strike the frozen ground, sending up flurries of snow with every step. The air is filled with the sound of movement, soft snorts, the crunch of ice, the whisper of wind swirling around their bodies as they press onward, undeterred by the biting cold. Above, Arctic terns slice through the sky, embarking on the longest migration of any animal on Earth. From the southernmost tip of the globe to the far north, they navigate by the sun's arc and the invisible pull of the planet's magnetic field, their wings carrying them across continents and oceans. Each step on the ground, each wing beat in the air, is a testament to endurance and the will to survive. The snow records their passage, paw prints, hoof marks, and the delicate trace of wings brushing the surface. But the journey is never easy. Blizzards sweep across the land, winds howling and snow swirling in blinding sheets. Ice floes shift and crack, creating treacherous paths that test every traveller's resolve. Yet the animals are built for this world. The polar bear's dense fur shields it from the cold as it trudges across the ice, while the Arctic fox tucks its nose beneath its tail, bracing against the wind. Narwhals glide silently beneath the surface, their bodies streamlined for the frigid water. Beneath the ice, narwhals follow invisible highways, slipping through ancient migratory routes in search of breathing holes and rich feeding grounds, their tusks slicing through the darkness. The journey is perilous, with hidden crevasses, unstable ice, and sudden storms threatening every step. Still, the promise of new feeding territories and safe breeding grounds drives them forward. Caribou discover fresh grazing, polar bear mothers lead their cubs to safe dens, and the next generation finds its place in the cycle of life. These migrations connect distant corners of the Arctic, weaving a web of resilience and interdependence across the frozen world. The land itself seems to breathe with the movement of its wild inhabitants. Day and night, under the shifting light of the sun and the shimmering aurora, the journey continues, an unbroken thread of survival stretching across the ages. In every determined step and every brave wing beat, the spirit of the Arctic endures, untamed, unyielding, and forever on the move. Beneath the Arctic's shimmering silence, a hidden language unfolds, a symphony of survival written not in words, but in signals. Here, every creature is both messenger and interpreter, attuned to the faintest cues in a world where sound is swallowed by snow and wind. Polar wolves lift their heads to the wind, releasing haunting howls that ripple across the tundra, calling out to distant pack members through the icy air. Their voices are more than mere sound. They are beacons, mapping the boundaries of territory, summoning allies and warning rivals to keep their distance. Each note carries meaning, a warning, a greeting, a claim to territory. Within the pack, subtle shifts in posture and the angle of a tail signal dominance or submission, keeping the group united and conflict at bay. A single glance, a lowered head, or a bristling coat can speak volumes in the frozen quiet. In the dense snowdrifts, foxes communicate through subtle gestures, arched backs, flicking tails and cautious glances. Their world is one of silent negotiation, where a twitch of the ear or a sidelong look can diffuse tension or signal intent. These movements speak volumes, maintaining order among rivals and signaling intent without a sound. When food is scarce, a fox's posture can mean the difference between a peaceful meal and a dangerous confrontation. Above, flocks of snow geese shift in perfect synchrony, guided by a choreography of wing beats and body position. Each bird reads the slightest change in its neighbor's flight, adjusting course in an instant to maintain the safety of the group. Tiny changes in direction and speed ripple through the group, ensuring safety in numbers as they cross the vast, white expanse. A sudden dip or swerve warns of predators, while a steady rhythm signals calm and cohesion. Beneath the snow, the invisible world of scent takes hold. Here, messages are left in footprints and trails, invisible to the eye but unmistakable to a sensitive nose. Arctic hares mark trails with secret chemical messages, guiding mates or warning others away. A single hop can lay down a path that leads a partner to safety or steers a rival off course. Even the elusive polar bear leaves behind a trace, powerful scent marks pressed into the snow, a silent signature that lingers long after the bear has moved on. These marks tell stories of strength, territory, and presence, warning others to tread carefully. Without words, these polar inhabitants weave a tapestry of connection, relying on instinct and ancient signals to find each other, avoid danger, and thrive in the world's harshest wilderness. Every movement, every sound, every scent is a thread in the fabric of survival. In the Arctic, every howl, glance, and whisper of scent is a lifeline, an unspoken code that ensures the story of survival endures. Here, in the endless white, the language of life is silent, but its message is clear. Adapt, communicate, and endure. Beneath the endless white, a hidden world pulses with life, a world where every creature from the tiniest crustacean to the apex predator is bound together in a delicate, intricate web. Here, survival is not a solitary journey, but a constant negotiation, a dance of give and take that shapes the fate of all. In this frozen expanse, the drama of existence unfolds in countless small moments. A fox's paw print beside a lemming's tunnel, a seal's whiskers twitching at the faintest vibration beneath the ice. Each life is entwined with countless others, forming a tapestry of survival that stretches from the depths of the sea to the windswept tundra above. It all begins with the microscopic, the unseen architects of the Arctic's bounty. Underneath the thick sea ice, as the sun returns after months of darkness, phytoplankton awaken. They bloom in the brief golden light, transforming the frozen waters into a hidden garden of energy. These tiny plants, invisible to the naked eye, are the foundation of life here. Their brief explosion of growth feeds the next link in the chain, zooplankton. Zooplankton drift in swirling clouds, feasting on the phytoplankton, their bodies becoming living vessels of energy. They are hunted in turn by small fish, each mouthful a transfer of sunlight, captured and passed along the chain. Arctic cod, sleek and silver, gather in dense schools beneath the ice, feeding on the zooplankton. Their movements are swift and synchronized, a ballet of survival in the frigid dark. These cod are the lifeblood of the Arctic, sustaining a host of larger predators. Seals glide through the icy water, their eyes sharp, their bodies built for stealth and speed. Seabirds too dive from above, piercing the surface in pursuit of the cod, their wings folding back as they vanish into the blue. On the ice above, the story continues. Ringed seals, ever watchful, surface through narrow breathing holes, their lives balanced between the bounty below and the safety of the snow above. They rest in hidden lairs, carved beneath drifts, listening for the distant tread of danger. For the polar bear, these seals are the ultimate prize. A single meal can mean the difference between life and death in this harsh world. Patient and powerful, the bear stalks the ice, reading the faintest signs, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Every hunt is a test of skill, endurance, and luck. When the hunt succeeds, the bear feasts, but never alone. The remains of its meal become a banquet for others. Arctic foxes, ever alert, arrive to scavenge what the bear leaves behind. Gulls circle and descend, their calls echoing across the ice. Even the smallest beetles and insects are drawn to the feast, breaking down what remains and returning nutrients to the land. Elsewhere, snowy owls perch in silence, their golden eyes scanning the tundra for the quick dart of a lemming. Arctic foxes prowl for eggs hidden in the snow, or scavenge from the leftovers of larger predators, their survival dependent on both cunning and opportunity. Each predator's success or failure ripples outward, shaping the fortunes of prey and the very balance of plant life that supports them all. The web is strong, but it is also fragile. When the sea ice melts earlier each year, the ancient rhythms are disrupted. Plankton blooms shift, fish migrate to new waters, and seals struggle to find safe places to give birth. A single change, one link broken, sends ripples through the entire ecosystem, testing the resilience of every species that calls this place home. Fish must travel farther, seals search desperately for shelter, and predators face new challenges as their prey becomes scarce. The entire web trembles, each strand stretched to its limit. In the Arctic, survival is a test of more than strength or cunning. It is a testament to the power of connection. Every animal, every plant, every microscopic organism is a vital part of the whole. Their fates are woven together, each life supporting the next. The hidden connections, predator and prey, scavenger and hunter, plant and animal, are the threads that hold the Arctic together. Here, the fate of one truly becomes the fate of all. In the web of life beneath the ice, every link matters, and every story is part of a greater whole. Deep within the Arctic's frozen expanse, where the sun barely rises and the wind sculpts the land into a realm of ice, survival is a relentless test. Here, only the most extraordinary adaptations allow life to persist. Every animal that calls this place home is a masterpiece of evolution shaped by countless generations to withstand the merciless cold and scarcity. Their bodies and behaviors are living records of nature's ingenuity, each trait honed for survival. The polar bear, ruler of this icy kingdom, is wrapped in a dense water-repellent coat that traps air for insulation. Beneath its fur, a thick layer of fat shields it from the cold, allowing the bear to swim for miles in frigid seas and stalk prey across the frozen expanse. Its jet-black skin, hidden beneath the fur, absorbs every sliver of sunlight, while its wide furred paws act as natural snowshoes, distributing weight so the bear glides over deep drifts without breaking through. Each step is silent, a perfect adaptation for stalking seals at their breathing holes. The Arctic fox, a master of disguise, transforms with the seasons. In winter its coat turns pure white, rendering it nearly invisible against the snow. This camouflage is vital, both for sneaking up on prey and for evading larger predators. Its compact body, short muzzle, and rounded ears reduce heat loss, while a bushy tail serves as a warm blanket wrapped tightly around its nose during sleep. The fox metabolism slows in the coldest months, conserving precious energy when food is scarce. When blizzards rage, the fox curls into a tight ball, tail covering its face, creating a cocoon of warmth that shields it from the biting wind. Even in the harshest storms it endures, a testament to evolutionary brilliance. Beneath the snow's surface, lemmings engineer a hidden world. They tunnel through insulated corridors, safe from the wind and the eyes of predators. Here they feed on roots and grasses, their tiny bodies generating warmth in the subnivean maze. Lemmings breed rapidly, ensuring their survival even as predators hunt them relentlessly. Their population booms and busts shape the fate of countless other Arctic creatures, fueling the food web in this frozen land. In the icy waters below, the narwhal's legendary tusk is more than a weapon. It's a sensory organ, detecting subtle shifts in temperature and pressure. This guides the pod to precious breathing holes in the ever-shifting sea ice, a lifeline in a world where the surface can freeze solid overnight. Seals, too, are masters of adaptation. They slow their heart rates and store oxygen in their muscles, allowing them to dive beneath the ice for long stretches, evading predators and searching for food in the dark, frigid depths. Even the tiniest Arctic residents, like the copepod, have evolved remarkable defenses. These minuscule creatures produce antifreeze proteins, preventing deadly ice crystals from forming inside their bodies and allowing them to thrive in waters that would freeze most life solid. Every adaptation, from the largest bear to the smallest plankton, is a chapter in the Arctic story of survival. Each animal's skills and traits are the result of countless trials, failures, and triumphs across the ages. In this world of endless winter, life is a constant battle, but it endures. The Arctic's creatures are living blueprints for survival, each one a marvel of evolutionary engineering. From the invisible copepod drifting in icy seas to the mighty polar bear roaming the tundra, every animal here is a master of adaptation, a living testament to nature's power to innovate, endure, and thrive against all odds. The Arctic has always been a land of extremes, but now even its most seasoned survivors are being tested in ways never before imagined. The polar bear, once the undisputed ruler of the ice, now steps gingerly across a patchwork of melting floes, each step a gamble between solid ground and frigid water below. As the sun lingers longer each year, ancient rhythms unravel. The ice, which once arrived with the first breath of autumn and lingered deep into spring, now retreats earlier and returns later, leaving vast stretches of open water where there was once only white. The once unbroken expanse of sea ice fractures into a shifting mosaic. Polar bears, who once roamed for miles without pause, now face daunting swims between distant flows, their powerful bodies pushed to the brink as they search for the next platform of survival. Each journey across the water saps precious energy. Some bears, exhausted, haul themselves onto slivers of ice barely large enough to rest, their breath heavy, their eyes scanning the horizon for hope. On land, the Arctic fox faces a new rival. The red fox, emboldened by the warming climate, ventures north, its russet coat a stark contrast against the thinning snow. Where once the Arctic fox's white fur meant safety, now it means standing out, and every encounter is a contest for territory and food. Beneath the snow, lemmings once thrived in a hidden world of tunnels, insulated from the cold and from predators above. But now unpredictable thaws and sudden freezes collapse their passageways, leaving them exposed and vulnerable, their frantic dashes across bare ground a desperate bid for survival. In the icy waters below, narwhals and seals navigate a labyrinth that changes with every tide. The ice, once a reliable shield, now shifts and cracks, forcing these elusive creatures to find new breathing holes and hunting grounds, always alert to the dangers above and below. The sea itself is changing. Fish and plankton, the foundation of the Arctic food web, drift to cooler waters or dwindle in number, leaving seals and whales to search farther and dive deeper for every meal. Even the smallest creatures, like the copepod, must adapt at a dizzying pace. Their life cycles shift, their bodies change, all in a race to survive in waters warmer and less predictable than any their ancestors ever knew. Across this vast, untouched wilderness, every animal leaves its mark, tracks in the snow, a ripple in the water, a fleeting shadow on the ice. Here the story of survival is written not in words, but in the silent struggle of life against the elements. The landscape itself is a living testament to change. Ice melts, snow shifts, and the sky above reflects the uncertainty below. The rules that once governed life at the top of the world are being rewritten with every passing season. In this new Arctic, every creature, great and small, must invent new ways to endure. Some will adapt, others may vanish, but all are bound together by the shifting ice and the relentless challenge of survival in a world transformed. Beneath the glistening surface of the polar ice, a hidden world thrives, one measured not in miles, but in microns. Here, in the labyrinthine veins and brine channels threaded through the ancient ice, microscopic life forms orchestrate a silent drama of survival. Diatoms, encased in delicate glass shells, line the undersides of sea ice, forming intricate mosaics that sparkle in shafts of filtered sunlight. They are the first to awaken as the light returns, capturing energy and transforming the ice into a living tapestry. Alongside them, resilient bacteria and archaea huddle in salty pockets, their metabolism slowed to a crawl, enduring months of darkness and sub-zero temperatures that would freeze most life solid. When the sun reappears, they rouse, feasting on organic matter trapped in the ice, recycling nutrients in an endless, unseen loop. In this frigid ecosystem, survival is a matter of adaptation. Some microbes produce antifreeze proteins, preventing lethal ice crystals from piercing their fragile membranes. Others form protective biofilms, clustering together for warmth and mutual support in the narrowest cracks where salt water lingers. Tiny flagellates and ciliates, single-celled grazers, patrol these microchannels, hunting bacteria and algae in a microscopic food web as complex as any on the tundra above. As the ice shifts and melts, this invisible community is set adrift, released into the cold, open waters. Here they become the foundation for all Arctic life, fueling blooms of plankton, feeding copepods and krill, and ultimately sustaining the seals, whales, and polar bears that roam the surface. Their existence may be overlooked, but their impact echoes through every rung of the Arctic food chain. Against the relentless forces of freezing and thawing, these smallest of survivors persist, adapting in ways both ancient and astonishingly new. Theirs is a world of quiet resilience, a reminder that even in the coldest, most inhospitable places, life finds a way, not with a roar, but with a whisper beneath the ice. Above the silent, frozen expanse, another migration begins, a pulse of life carried on wings. Arctic birds, born in the brief, feverish summer, now prepare for journeys that will span continents and oceans. With the first hint of autumn chill, flocks gather at the water's edge, restless and alert, their calls echoing across the ice. The Arctic tern, a master of endurance, readies for a voyage of almost unimaginable scale. From these icy shores, it will trace a path to the farthest reaches of the southern hemisphere, travelling from pole to pole and back again, chasing endless daylight. Each tern, weighing barely more than a bar of soap, will fly over 40,000 miles in a single year. Their wings beat steadily, cutting through frigid winds, guided by instinct and the subtle cues of sun and stars. Snow geese and sandpipers rise in swirling clouds, their formations shifting and reforming in the sky. They will follow ancient flyways, routes carved by generations, over jagged mountains, sprawling forests, and vast, restless seas. Along the way, storms lash their fragile bodies, and predators wait in ambush. Some will fall, claimed by exhaustion or the talons of a hawk, but most press on, driven by a singular purpose. For many, the journey is a test of endurance and unity. Flocks fly in precise formations, drafting in each other's wake to conserve energy. When one bird tires, another takes its place at the front, sharing the burden of the wind. They navigate by magnetic fields and the subtle patterns of the polarized sky, a living compass honed over millennia. At stopover wetlands, they feast and rest, replenishing stores of fat for the next leg of their journey. Here, the boundaries between continents blur, as birds from distant lands mingle for a fleeting moment before continuing their separate paths. The Arctic's brief abundance, its insects, seeds, and sunlight, fuels this epic migration, a gift that echoes across hemispheres. As winter claims the north, the skies empty, growing silent once more. But the memory of their passage lingers, in scattered feathers and in the promise that, with the return of light, these tireless travellers will come home again. Their journey is a testament to the resilience woven through every fibre of Arctic life, a cycle of departure and return, of endurance and hope, written not in footprints, but in the beating of wings across the endless white. In a world where temperatures plunge far below what most life can endure, survival demands innovation beyond imagination. For the animals that call the Arctic home, every cell, every heartbeat, is shaped by the relentless cold, a force that can freeze flesh and spirit alike. Beneath layers of ice and snow, small mammals like the Arctic ground squirrel perform an astonishing feat. As winter deepens, their bodies surrender to the cold. Heartbeats slow to a faint whisper, and body temperature drops below freezing, lower than any other mammal on Earth. Yet, their blood resists turning to ice, thanks to special proteins and sugars that prevent lethal crystallization. These hibernators teeter on the edge of life, suspended in a state between sleeping and waking, waiting for the sun's return. Fish, too, swim through liquid that hovers just above freezing. Arctic cod and icefish possess anti-freeze proteins in their blood, molecular guardians that bind to ice crystals and halt their deadly growth. Their hearts beat steadily in water that would kill most creatures in minutes, their bodies adapted for a world suspended on the brink of solidification. For larger animals, insulation is key. The polar bear's fur is not simply white, but a complex cloak. Each hollow hair traps air, while a dense underlayer holds precious warmth close to the skin. Beneath this, a thick layer of fat, sometimes over 4 inches deep, serves as both energy reserve and life-saving insulation. Even their paws are covered in fur, shielding them from the biting ice as they roam for miles in search of food. Birds, like the snowy owl, puff up their feathers into dense, fluffy armor. Beneath the surface, a counter-current heat exchange in their legs ensures that blood returning from their exposed talons is warmed by outgoing blood from the heart, minimizing heat loss and protecting delicate tissues from frostbite. Some creatures, like the woolly bear caterpillar, embrace the freeze. As temperatures drop, They produce glycerol, a biological antifreeze, allowing their bodies to freeze almost solid. In this icy prison, their hearts stop, their cells shrink, and yet, when the thaw arrives, they simply awaken and continue their journey through life. The extreme cold is not merely an enemy, but a sculptor, shaping bodies, behaviors, and even the chemistry of life itself. Here, survival is a story written in adaptations both visible and hidden, a testament to nature's ingenuity in the face of the ultimate test, enduring the deep freeze. Sea ice, an ever-shifting mosaic of frozen water, may seem lifeless from above, but beneath its surface, it is the beating heart of the Arctic ecosystem. Here, the ice is not simply a barrier or a void, but a living platform, shaping the destinies of countless creatures in a delicate web of survival. At the bottom of this world, sunlight filters through the ice's translucent layers, awakening a hidden garden. Algae cling to the underside of the ice, painting it with streaks of green and brown. These microscopic plants are the first link in a complex food chain, thriving in the narrow space where ice meets ocean. As the seasons turn and the ice thins, the algae bloom, releasing a pulse of food into the water below. Tiny crustaceans, copepods and amphipods gather in swarms, feasting on the algae. They, in turn, become prey for larger hunters. Translucent Arctic cod, darting through the icy shadows, their bodies perfectly adapted to the chill. The cod are a linchpin, feeding not only on the small creatures of the ice, but also nourishing larger predators. Above, seals prowl the water's edge, surfacing through breathing holes they keep open with determined effort. These marine mammals rely on the sea ice for rest, for birthing their young, and for safety from the ever-watchful eyes of polar bears. The bears themselves patrol the ice, using its ever-changing corridors to stalk their prey. Their survival is inextricably tied to the frozen landscape, a landscape that dictates the rhythm of life and death. Even the air above the ice teems with life. Ivory gulls and other birds swoop down to snatch fish from the cracks and leads, their sharp eyes spotting movement from afar. The ice acts as a highway, a hunting ground, and a nursery for these winged visitors. As the seasons shift and the ice retreats, the entire ecosystem transforms. Nutrients released from melting ice fuel enormous phytoplankton blooms, drawing in whales from distant oceans to feed on the bounty. Narwhals and belugas follow the edge of the retreating ice, navigating a world in constant flux. Sea ice is more than frozen water. It is the stage upon which the Arctic's greatest dramas unfold. Every creature, from the tiniest algae to the mightiest bear, is bound together by the living tapestry of the ice. In this world of extremes, survival depends not only on enduring the cold, but on the intricate connections woven through the frozen heart of the sea. As darkness settles across the Arctic, a silent transformation begins. The black sky ripples with bands of green and purple, celestial rivers known as the Aurora borealis. These dancing lights, born from charged solar particles striking Earth's magnetic shield, paint the snow and ice with a ghostly glow. For the animals of the polar night, the aurora is more than a spectacle. It is a force that shapes behavior, stirs instincts, and weaves new mysteries into the frozen landscape. On the open tundra, herds of reindeer pause in their slow migration. The shifting lights overhead seem to mesmerize them, and for a moment their movement stills. Scientists have discovered that reindeer eyes adapt to the long Arctic darkness, becoming incredibly sensitive to ultraviolet light, the same spectrum in which the aurora often shines brightest. Some reindeer are thought to use the subtle shifts in light to navigate, orienting themselves by the glimmering arcs above. In the silence beneath the ice, seals rise cautiously to the surface, their whiskers twitching as they peer through cracks at the illuminated world above. The aurora's flickering radiance can confuse predators and prey alike, casting strange shadows that disrupt the usual nighttime patterns. Seals may linger near breathing holes longer, wary of what moves in the wavering light. Farther out, Arctic foxes emerge from their burrows, their white coats glowing faintly in the auroral haze. The foxes rely on keen hearing to hunt, but the aurora's gentle illumination gives them a fleeting advantage, the chance to spot the faint outline of a lemming or the shimmer of feathers as a snowy owl takes flight. In these rare moments the hunt becomes a dance beneath the lights, predator and prey moving in silent synchrony with the sky. Above the ice, flocks of snow, buntings and ivory gulls roost together, wings tucked tight against the cold. Some species, sensitive to the electromagnetic changes that accompany strong auroral events, become restless, calling out in the darkness or shifting position. The aurora's invisible energies may ripple through their senses, subtly altering the rhythm of their nightly routines. Even the great polar bears, lords of the ice, pause in their patrols. For a brief while, they lift their heads, watching the heavens as green ribbons ripple across their hunting grounds. The aurora brings no warmth, no food, no shelter. Yet it marks a moment of awe in the relentless struggle for survival. In the Arctic night, the aurora is a silent conductor, orchestrating subtle changes in animal behavior. It is a reminder that, even in the world's harshest places, nature's wonders reach from the sky to the ice, touching every living creature beneath the lights. In the polar world, time is measured not by clocks, but by the shifting sun and the pulse of the seasons. As the aurora fades and the long night yields to the first blush of dawn, a subtle transformation sweeps across the ice and tundra. The air, once brittle and still, now carries the faintest whisper of change, a promise and a warning. For the animals of the Arctic, survival is a dance with the seasons. Months before the sun climbs above the horizon, life begins to stir beneath the snow. Lemmings, hidden in their labyrinthine tunnels, sense the softening of the frost. They gnaw at frozen roots and grasses, stockpiling energy for the hungry days ahead. Their numbers surge, setting the stage for the predators that depend on them, the stoats, the snowy owls, and the Arctic foxes, each sharpening their instincts for the coming chase. Along the ice edge, seals prepare for the return of open water. Females, heavy with unborn pups, seek sheltered dens where snowdrifts offer protection from prowling bears. Every breath is measured, every movement cautious. The margin for error is razor-thin. When the first cracks appear in the sea ice, mothers will risk everything to lead their young to safety. Above the tundra, flocks of birds begin their epic migrations. Snow buntings, ivory gulls, and long-tailed ducks take to the skies in restless waves, driven by ancient urges and the lengthening days. Their journeys span continents, but their return is timed to perfection, arriving just as the land awakens, when insects hatch and the world blooms with brief riotous life. For the mighty polar bear, the waning winter is both opportunity and peril. As the ice thins, hunting becomes a race. Each bear must gorge on seals while the frozen platform endures, building reserves to survive the lean months of summer. Cubs, barely weaned, learn to tread carefully across the unstable floes, their future balanced on the melting edge. In this realm, every creature reads the signs, the angle of sunlight, the scent of thawing earth, the patterns of wind and water. Preparation is instinct, honed by generations of hardship. Some will burrow deeper, others will journey farther. All will gamble their lives on the promise of renewal. Here, in the land where winter never truly leaves, the turning of the seasons is a test, a race against time, fierce and beautiful. And as the light returns, life surges forward, undaunted by the cold, ready once more to embrace the fleeting warmth of the Arctic sun. In the polar world, every breath is a calculated risk. Every step, a silent negotiation between hunter and hunted. Here, survival is not just about strength or speed, but about outsmarting the elements and each other. The white expanse offers little cover, making the art of concealment a crucial adaptation. Arctic foxes, cloaked in winter-white fur, blend seamlessly into the snowdrifts, their eyes ever watchful for the faintest twitch of movement beneath the surface. Lemmings, masters of evasion, tunnel labyrinths beneath the snow, their passageways a hidden city where scent and vibration become warning bells. Above, the snowy owl scans with razor-sharp vision, able to spot a mouse-sized shadow from hundreds of meters away. Its wings, edged with soft feathers, allow it to glide in near silence, striking with swift precision before the prey even senses danger. But the lemming, alert to the faintest tremor, can vanish in an instant, leaving only a puff of snow behind. On the sea ice, the ancient contest between seal and bear unfolds with equal cunning. Seals carve breathing holes into the frozen sheet, surfacing only for moments, ever vigilant for the towering shadow of a polar bear. The bear, in turn, learns patience, waiting motionless for hours, scenting the wind, reading the subtle signs of air bubbles and cracks that betray a seal's presence. Each encounter is a test of endurance and nerve, where a single misstep spells hunger or escape. The dance is endless, and the stakes are absolute. Prey species multiply rapidly, their numbers ebbing and flowing with the fortunes of the hunters. When lemming populations surge, so too do the fortunes of foxes and owls, each birth and death a thread in the intricate web that holds this world together. When prey is scarce, predators are forced to adapt, foxes scavenging, bears traveling farther, owls migrating to richer hunting grounds. This delicate balance is not a war, but a dialogue, an evolutionary arms race where innovation is the price of survival. Camouflage, keen senses, silent flight, and cunning ambush are all honed by the relentless pressures of the Arctic. Each species is both hunter and hunted, participant in a cycle that has shaped their bodies and minds across countless generations. In the end, the relationship between predator and prey defines the rhythm of polar life. It is a story of resilience, of adaptation, and of respect. A silent chase played out across the endless white, where every heartbeat echoes the eternal struggle for survival. In the frozen silence of the polar wilderness, the greatest challenge is not merely survival, but safeguarding the fragile promise of new life. Here, every parent, be it feathered, furred, or finned, becomes both shield and teacher, forging the next generation against merciless odds. Beneath the snow, the Arctic fox vixen curls her body around a litter of blind, helpless kits. Her den, dug deep into the permafrost, is a fortress against the biting wind and prowling predators. For weeks, she ventures out under the cover of darkness, braving the cold to hunt and return with scraps of food. Each meal is shared, her own hunger a distant concern. Her vigilance never wavers. Even the faintest scent on the wind can trigger a desperate defense. Above the silent tundra, snowy owl parents share the burden of survival. The female guards the nest, little more than a shallow scrape in the open snow, while the male patrols vast distances, his keen eyes searching for the telltale signs of prey. When lemmings are scarce, he risks exhaustion, flying for hours to feed his growing brood. The chicks, fluffy and grey, huddle together for warmth, their survival dependent on the relentless devotion of their parents. On the shifting sea ice, a ringed seal mother gives birth in a snow cave, hidden from the ever-watchful gaze of polar bears. For mere weeks, she nurses her pup with rich, fatty milk, transforming it from a tiny, shivering bundle into a plump survivor. Each day, she teaches her young the art of breathing whole navigation, how to slip silently into the water, vanish in an instant, and avoid the deadly claws that might lie in wait above. Even the mighty polar bear faces daunting odds. A new mother, weakened by months without food, emerges from her snow den with twin cubs. Every step is a lesson: how to walk, how to dig, how to read the wind for scent. She leads them across the endless ice, teaching patience and persistence as they search for their first seal. The journey is perilous, and many will not survive, but those who do carry with them the hard-won wisdom of their ancestors. In this world, parenting is an act of courage and sacrifice. Each species has evolved unique strategies. Some share the work, others rely on stealth or strength, but all are united by the fierce instinct to protect and provide. The polar night is long, the dangers many, and the margin for error razor-thin. Yet, against all odds, life endures, each new generation a testament to the resilience and devotion of those who came before. Here in the heart of the ice, the story of survival is not just written in tooth and claw, but in the quiet, unyielding love of parents for their young. It is a legacy passed on with every lesson, every sacrifice, and every heartbeat beneath the endless white. Beneath the unbroken expanse of white, a silent transformation is underway. The world the polar creatures once knew is shifting. Ice melts sooner and forms later, ancient hunting grounds vanish, and the rhythm of the seasons becomes uncertain. Yet, even as the elements turn unpredictable, the animals of the polar wilds reveal a remarkable truth. Resilience is woven into the very fabric of their existence. Across the tundra, the Arctic fox listens intently, her ears pricked not just for prey, but for the subtle changes in the land itself. Where once she followed the migrations of lemmings over solid ground, now she must venture farther, tracking their erratic movements as warming temperatures alter their cycles. The fox learns new hunting strategies, waiting longer at burrow entrances, scavenging more frequently, and even trailing polar bears to steal scraps from abandoned kills. In the thinning ice, the ringed seal faces a world where snow caves, once reliable nurseries, collapse before her pups are ready to swim. Forced to adapt, she seeks out patches of thicker ice, even if it means longer journeys and greater risk. Some seals give birth earlier, while others linger on the edge of open water, teaching their young to dive and evade predators in ever-shifting conditions. For the polar bear, adaptation is a struggle played out with every step. As the sea ice retreats, hunting becomes a desperate race against time. Bears spend more days swimming between flows, conserving energy, and even turning to new food sources, raiding seabird colonies or foraging for berries along the warming coastlines. Some mothers are seen guiding their cubs across unfamiliar terrain, teaching them to navigate landscapes their ancestors never knew. Above, migratory birds adjust their ancient routes, arriving sooner or departing later, guided by cues that are no longer as reliable as they once were. The snowy owl, once a sentinel of the endless night, now times her nesting to match the unpredictable flush of prey, her success hinging on a delicate balance that grows more precarious with each passing year. Yet, amidst these challenges, the spirit of adaptation endures. New behaviors emerge, old instincts are refined, and each generation inherits both the wisdom and the will to survive. The polar wilds may be changing, but the creatures who call them home are not passive victims. They are innovators, survivors, and witnesses to a world in flux. In this age of uncertainty, the story of the poles is no longer just one of endurance, but of evolution. Here, resilience is not just a trait, it is a way of life, echoing through every paw print in the snow, every silent wingbeat in the night, and every heartbeat beneath the ice. Beneath the shimmering veil of the polar sky, life is woven together by invisible threads, each strand a story, each heartbeat a note in a symphony of survival. In this world where cold reigns supreme, no creature exists in isolation. Every movement, every adaptation sends ripples through the intricate tapestry of the ecosystem. The Arctic fox, sleek and silent, depends on the lemmings whose hidden tunnels wind beneath the snow. When lemming numbers surge, foxes thrive, raising larger litters, their playful kits tumbling across the drifts. But in lean years, the fox's sharp eyes turn skyward, following the snowy owl as she glides low, hunting the same elusive prey. Their fates entwine, each population rising and falling in a delicate dance of predator and prey. On the sea ice, the ringed seal carves out her breathing holes, shaping havens not only for herself but for a host of unseen lives. Tiny amphipods and crustaceans cling to the underside of the ice, feeding on drifting algae that bloom in the brief, bright summer. These minute creatures nourish fish, which in turn sustain the seal and ultimately the polar bear, apex hunter and silent guardian of the frozen realm. Even the bear, mighty as he is, relies on the humble algae that flourish in fleeting sunlight, anchoring the food web from below. Above the tundra, migratory birds arrive in waves, their journeys guided by ancient stars and subtle shifts in the Earth's magnetic field. They bring nutrients from distant lands, their guano fertilizing the moss and lichens that color the white expanse in fleeting hues of green and gold. Insects awaken in the brief warmth, their buzzing lives feeding chicks and pollinating the hardy blooms that dot the landscape. As seasons turn, the web tightens and loosens, flexing with the rhythm of freeze and thaw. When one thread is pulled, when ice melts earlier or prey patterns shift, the entire fabric shivers, yet it holds. Each species, from the smallest copepod to the wandering caribou, shapes the world for all others, their destinies bound by shared struggle and silent cooperation. Here in the polar wilds, life persists not through isolation, but through unity. The balance is fragile, yes, but it is also profound, a testament to the power of connection in a land defined by separation. In every snowflake that falls, in every echoing call across the ice, the message is clear: to survive the extremes, all must move as one. The polar wilderness endures not because of a single survivor, but because together they form an unbreakable web, a living tapestry of resilience, adaptation, and hope.